Okay, we're counting down the top 20 most covered songs of all time.
Okay, what's number 20?
Hallelujah.
Oh, man. The ultimate example of an agonizing struggle.
And it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you?
Leonard Cohen originally released Hallelujah in 1984, but only after writing something like 80 different verses.
80. That is, I mean, how do you even keep track of that?
You don't. He famously spent years torturing himself in hotel rooms, like literally banging his head against the floor trying to finish the lyrics.
Wow.
The turning point was actually John Cale's 1991 piano-driven arrangement.
Oh, Cale from the Velvet Underground.
Exactly. He went through all of Cohen's unused verses and established the modern lyrical structure we all recognize today.
Right, which then paved the way for Jeff Buckley to come along in 1994 and record that soaring, just haunting masterpiece on his Grace album.
Yeah, Buckley's version is untouchable.
So if you think a rejected folk album is an unlikely place to find a universal anthem, how about a forgotten B-movie about a prison? Because that's our number 19, Unchained Melody from 1955.
Goes by so slowly.
Right, penned by Alex North with lyrics by Hyzeret, specifically as the theme for a forgotten 1955 movie literally called Unchained.
But the song completely eclipsed the film almost overnight. I mean, the success was explosive. 3 completely different versions hit the U.S. top 10 at the exact same time in 1955.
That is just unheard of today.
Totally. Imagine an artist dropping a song today and like 3 different TikTok creators post covers of it that all hit the Billboard top 10 on the exact same day. It's wild.
Well, that soaring vocal arc, that huge demanding leap in the melody made it an enduring benchmark for singers across pop, doo-wop, and country.
Yeah, you have to really have the chops to hit those notes.
Absolutely. You've got Al Hibbler's classic 1955 hit, but the definitive vocal powerhouse rendition belongs to the Righteous Brothers in 1965.
Oh, no question. And then that version gets totally revitalized for a whole new generation by the movie Ghost in 1990.
Patrick Swayze and the pottery wheel.
Exactly. You just can't separate those echoing vocals from that scene in the cultural consciousness.
You really can't. Now, shifting from soaring romantic vocals to soaring spiritual vocals, we hit number 18, which is Bridge Over Troubled Water. Written in 1969.
Paul Simon wrote this absolute tower of a ballad, and he actually took his inspiration from a very specific line in a gospel track by the Swan Silvertones called Mary, Don't You Weep.
The fascinating part to me is that it was recorded right at the tail end of Simon and Garfunkel's partnership, which was incredibly fraught at the time.
Oh, yeah, they were barely speaking.
Barely speaking at all. But Art Garfunkel takes the lead vocal, and his angelic, delicate delivery is just undeniable. The emotional weight of that performance helped propel the track to 5 Grammy Awards.
And it instantly became a global standard, inspiring hundreds of soul, gospel, and pop interpretations. The 1970 original is legendary, but then Aretha Franklin gets her hands on it in 1971.
Oh, she took it straight to church.
She took it back to its gospel roots and turned it into this tour de force. And she won a Grammy for her version, too.
Amazing. Well, another song born in a time of tension brings us to number 17, What a Wonderful World, from 1967.
Ah, such a classic.
Written by Bob Thiele and George David White.
And I think to myself,
it was conceived during a year of intense civil unrest, and it was deliberately meant to be an optimistic, healing antidote to the racial tension of the era.
But here's where we find another record executive completely missing the boat. Larry Newton, the head of ABC Records, absolutely despised this slow ballad.
He hated it.
He actively refused to promote it in the U.S.
Just a historically baffling career move. But despite his sabotage, it topped the charts in the UK and blossomed into an international anthem of hope anyway. Obviously, Louis Armstrong's iconic 1967 original is the blueprint.
Yeah, his gravelly, warm voice is what grounds the song. It keeps it from feeling, too overly sweet.
Right. And you also have that breathtaking 1993 acoustic medley by Hawaiian musician Israel Kamakawiwo, where he paired it with another song we will absolutely be seeing later on this list. Keep that in mind.
Oh, I know the one. Rounding out this block of unlikely anthems at number 16 is Georgia on My Mind. From 1930.
Composed by Hoagy Carmichael with lyrics by Stuart Gorrell.
But I have to ask you, because there is always a debate about this. Was Hoagie Carmichael writing about his sister Georgia or the U.S. state of Georgia?
So the brilliant part is that the ambiguity is entirely intentional. It allows the listener to just project their own nostalgia onto it, whatever that might be. It originally found a steady life among jazz band leaders like Frankie Trumbauer and Mildred Bailey.
But then it evolves, right? It becomes forever linked with the American Civil Rights era and actually becomes the official state song of Georgia. Ray Charles recorded the definitive soul masterpiece version in 1960.
And Willie Nelson put his own stamp on it with chart-topping country rendition in 1978. It's one of those songs that completely adapts to the emotional landscape of whoever is singing it.
Which brings us perfectly into our next block, numbers 15 through 11. These songs are all about total transformation. We're looking at how a song can be written by one person, but completely co-opted, rewritten, or transformed by someone else until the original is almost forgotten.
Oh, I love these.
Case in point, number 15, My Way, from 1967.
When people hear My Way, they immediately think of the ultimate American anthem of personal pride. It is completely synonymous with Frank Sinatra's swagger.
I grew tall through it all.
But it started as a French pop song, Comme d'habitude, by Claude François and Jacques Revaux.
Yes.
Paul Anka heard it while he was on vacation, bought the adaptation rights, and entirely rewrote the English lyrics specifically for Sinatra in 1969.
He completely changed the narrative, too. The French version is about the boring routine of a dying relationship. Anka turns it into this defiant cinematic story of a life lived on one's own terms.
And Sinatra's legendary Powerhouse recording turned it into a karaoke staple worldwide.
Right. And then Elvis Presley delivered that incredibly dramatic live rendition in 1977, just weeks before he died. Talk about putting your own monumental tragic weight behind a lyric.
Oh, definitely. Now, Sinatra obviously loved My Way. But if we move to number 14, we find the track that Sinatra himself famously called the greatest love song of the past 50 years.
Something in the way she moves.
That's high praise.
Huge praise, and it's Something from 1969. The irony here is so delicious. George Harrison writes this masterpiece during the White Album sessions, and it finally gets released on Abbey Road.
This was the moment Harrison firmly stepped out of the massive songwriting shadows of Paul McCartney and John Lennon.
Exactly. It became the second most covered Beatles song in history, with over 150 official cover versions recorded just within a few years of its release.
You have the Beatles' impeccable 1969 original, but then Sinatra backs up his high praise by recording his own lush orchestral interpretation in 1970.
Now, sticking with sweeping transformations, let's jump back to French origins for number 13.
And soon I'll hear a winter's song.
It's Autumn Leaves from 1945.
Originally, Les Feuilles Mortes by Joseph Cosma and poet Jacques Prévert, before Johnny Mercer gave it English lyrics in 1947.
You always hear jazz musicians talk about this song with a kind of reverence. Why is that? Like, what makes it so special to them?
It's all because of its underlying mechanics. Autumn Leaves became an indispensable standard because of its elegant harmonic movement through something called the circle of fifths.
Okay, you're going to have to explain that for those of us who don't read sheet music.
Fair enough. Think of the circle of fifths like a mathematically perfect staircase for sound. Every chord steps down to the next one in a way that feels incredibly satisfying and predictable to the human ear.
Oh, I see.
Because that foundation is so solid and logical, it became the ultimate jungle gym for jazz musicians learning melodic phrasing and improvisation. You can swing all over it, and the structure won't break.
That makes total sense. That's why you have Nat King Cole's velvet-toned 1955 vocal classic, and then Cannonball Adderley's 1958 hard bop instrumental masterclass, which also featured Miles Davis totally tearing it up.
Exactly. Now, from a song designed perfectly for musicians, we moved to a song that was almost destroyed by movie executives who just didn't understand pacing.
Oh boy.
Number 12, Over the Rainbow, from 1939.
Picture this. You're a studio executive watching a rough cut of The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Judy Garland is standing there belting out an immortal melody by Harold Arlen and Yip Harburg, pouring her heart out about escaping a dreary life.
Right.
And you turn to the director and say, you know what? This is dragging. Cut the song.
It's horrifying to even think about. They thought it slowed down the start of the movie too much.
Imagine telling Judy Garland to speed it up.
Thankfully, cooler heads prevailed. It stayed. It won the Academy Award for Best Original Song, and it became the ultimate American musical expression of longing.
Judy Garland's 1939 original is untouchable. But here we see Israel Kamakawi making his second appearance on our list with that gentle 1993 acoustic medley we mentioned earlier. He stripped away all the Hollywood orchestration and just made it intimate.
That brings us to number 11, where we transition from a song anchored by a soaring vocal to a song anchored entirely by its rhythmic foundation.
I won't be afraid just as long.
It's Stand By Me from 1960.
Composed by Ben E. King with the legendary duo Jerry Leiber and Mike Stoller. They adapted the spirit of a gospel hymn called Lord Stand By Me, but they anchored it with that unforgettable walking bass line.
Oh, yeah.
You hear those first three thumping notes, and your body instantly knows what song it is before anyone even sings a word.
That bass line is hypnotic. Its universal message of solidarity and devotion has transcended generations and social movements. Benny King's 1961 original is perfect, and it even hit the charts again in 1986.
And then John Lennon delivers this unbelievably passionate solo cover in 1975 on his rock and roll album. He just poured his whole gritty, raspy heart into it.
That brings us to the top 10. This block, numbers 10 through 6, is all about the rule breakers. Songs that shattered traditional narrative or musical rules to achieve greatness.
Starting with number 10, All Along the Watchtower from 1967.
All along the watchtower,
Bob Dylan wrote this enigmatic biblical narrative following a serious motorcycle crash, releasing it on John Wesley Harding. The structure completely breaks traditional songwriting rules. It's actually written in reverse chronological order.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it drops you right into the middle of a conversation between a joker and a thief confronting an impending apocalypse, and it ends right as the story should technically be starting.
What's wild to me is that Dylan himself openly admitted his acoustic original was just a sketch. He went on record saying that the Jimi Hendrix Experience's explosive 1968 psychedelic cover actually unlocked the song's true potential.
When Bob Dylan says, yeah, that guy did my song better, you definitely listen.
For sure. So Dylan changed lyrical structure, but for number 9, we see a massive shift in pop instrumentation.
look at all the lovely people.
It's Eleanor Rigby from 1966.
Released on Revolver.
Right. Before they were wearing those colorful marching band suits for Sgt. Pepper, Paul McCartney was pushing the envelope here with these incredibly bleak, depressing lyrics about loneliness and dying forgotten.
And producer George Martin backed him up with a biting string octet instead of traditional rock instruments. Let's be clear, there are 0 standard rock instruments here for Paul McCartney, John Lennon, George Harrison, or Ringo Starr to play on the recording.
Just strings. And they aren't romantic, sweeping, cinematic strings either. They are harsh, played without vibrato, ticking along like a cold, lonely clock.
It was a revolutionary shift in pop songwriting. Suddenly, jazz, classical, and soul artists realized pop music could be incredibly serious material. Ray Charles did a rhythmic, soulful rendition in 1968, and Aretha Franklin brought straight fire to her soul adaptation in 1969.
Speaking of bleak narratives, number 8 brings us the ultimate torch ballad of Retribution, Cry Me a River from 1953.
Cry me a river.
Written by Arthur Hamilton.
And you just have to laugh at the ridiculousness of Hollywood sometimes. Hamilton wrote this incredibly moody, minor key revenge track specifically for Ella Fitzgerald to sing in the film Pete Kelly's Blues, and the studio they dropped it from the movie soundtrack.
How do you drop a song written for the greatest voice of a generation?
A monumental mistake. Because that minor key melody, which feels so unresolved and tense, made it an instant favorite for singers looking to show off their dramatic range.
Julie London picked it up and recorded a sultry, smoky version in 1955 that sold 1 million copies.
And then Joe Cocker completely flips the script with a roaring, sweaty rock and soul live performance in 1970 with Mad Dogs and Englishmen.
From minor key revenge, we pivot to sophisticated minor key seduction at number 7, The Look of Love from 1967.
To love you now that I have found you. You've got
Burt Bacharach and Hal David wrote this for the James Bond satire Casino Royale. The legend goes that Bacharach was inspired to write that sultry melody just by watching Ursula Andress on the film set.
Well, Bacharach's compositions are notoriously tricky for musicians. He uses shifting time signatures and sophisticated bossa nova rhythms.
Right, which isn't standard pop fare.
Not at all. For anyone unfamiliar, bossa nova has this slight off-kilter heartbeat to it. It sways, deliberately avoiding a straight, rigid pop beat. That complexity elevated the track into an essential pop and lounge standard.
Dusty Springfield's 1967 breathy, sensual vocal for the film is iconic, and Diana Krall snagged a Grammy nomination for her 2001 jazz revival of it.
Now, if Bacharach's time signatures are tricky, our number 6 track is the absolute Mount Everest for serious jazz musicians. It's Body and Soul from 1930. Composed by Johnny Green, with lyrics by Edward Heyman, Robert Sauer, and Frank Aiton.
Okay, why is this the mountain you have to climb to prove your chops in jazz?
Because of its complex harmonic progressions, unlike pop songs that sit comfortably in one key, Body and Soul modulates constantly. It's basically a harmonic obstacle course.
You can't just coast on it.
Exactly. If you can navigate its chord changes while improvising a beautiful melody, you have truly mastered your instrument. Coleman Hawkins' 1939 tenor saxophone improvisation on this tune is literally a landmark in jazz history.
And it endures all the way to 2011, with Tony Bennett and Amy Winehouse recording a Grammy-winning duet, just a timeless piece of music.
We have finally arrived at the top 5, the undisputed titans. This is where we stop measuring covers in the hundreds and start measuring them in the thousands or even tens of thousands.
Number 5 is White Christmas from 1940. And the paradox of this song's origin is incredible to me. The modern secular holiday music industry was essentially established by Irving Berlin, a secular Jewish immigrant who was sitting by a pool at a hotel in sunny California.
And he was mourning the loss of his infant son, who had died on Christmas Day years earlier. The song isn't a cheerful jingle. It was born from deep melancholy and nostalgia.
That profound longing, that feeling of desperately wanting to be somewhere you can't be, is exactly why it resonated so deeply with Allied soldiers deployed abroad during World War II. It captured the homesickness of an entire generation.
Bing Crosby's 1942 classic version remains the best-selling physical single in music history. But because the melody is so sturdy, you also have incredible stylistic jumps, like the Drifters' upbeat 1954 doo-wop interpretation, which completely reinvents the groove.
Transitioning from a poolside in California, we go to a guy waking up in a bed in London, with the melody fully formed in his head.
Yesterday, all my troubles seem.
Number 4 is Yesterday from 1964.
Paul McCartney wakes up with this gorgeous descending melody.
But because he didn't have words yet, he famously used the dummy lyrics scrambled eggs.
Yes.
Just picture one of the greatest musical geniuses of the 20th century wandering around a flat singing scrambled eggs, oh my baby, how I love your legs.
Oh.
He was actually terrified he had accidentally plagiarized it in his sleep, constantly asking people, did I write this or did I hear this somewhere?
Well, once he confirmed it was original and added the real lyrics, it was recorded in 1965 with just an acoustic guitar and a string quartet. It officially entered the Guinness World Records as the most covered pop song written in the modern era.
Wow.
We're talking well over 2,200 documented cover versions.
The Beatles' original is perfection. But Ray Charles, making yet another appearance on this list, delivered an emotionally charged R&B performance of it in 1967 that is just staggering. You feel every ounce of regret in his voice.
Beating out McCartney's Guinness record takes something older, though. Something born not in a London flat, but from a broken church organ in Austria. Number 3 is Silent Night.
Silent night.
Or Still Nacht from 1818.
Franz Xaver Gruber and Joseph Moore were in this small village in Austria on Christmas Eve. The church organ breaks down, so they have to improvise out of pure necessity. They arrange this gorgeous piece for acoustic guitar and choir.
And over 2 centuries later, it has been declared intangible cultural heritage by UNESCO. It has been translated into over 300 languages and recorded by tens of thousands of artists across literally every musical genre imaginable.
Bing Crosby's historic 1935 recording is the 3rd best-selling single of all time. And Mahalia Jackson's powerful 1962 gospel arrangement will just shake the walls of your house.
Christmas carols have a built-in seasonal advantage, yes. But our number 2 song is a secular pop standard that holds a jaw-dropping record, Summertime. from 1934.
There's nothing can hold.
Over 67,000 catalog versions.
Let that number sink in for a second. 67,000. If you listen to a different cover of Summertime every single day, it would take you over 183 years to hear them all.
That is insane. George Gershwin wrote it for the folk opera Porgy and Bess, and it's a masterpiece because it brilliantly blends the soul of African-American spirituals with complex classical operatic composition. It is the most recorded secular pop standard in human history.
You've got the definitive 1957 vocal duet by Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong, which is as smooth as silk. And then Janis Joplin rips the whole thing wide open with a raw, screaming, psychedelic blues rendition in 1968 with Big Brother and the Holding Company. The song can handle whatever you throw at it.
Which brings us to the grand finale, the single most performed and recorded piece of music in human history.
Amazing grace.
Number 1 is Amazing Grace.
Written in 1772 by John Newton. This is a man who survived a violent ocean storm, eventually renounced his life in the slave trade, and wrote this powerful reflection on redemption, forgiveness, and deliverance.
But the crazy part is that it didn't meet the traditional American tune we all know, New Britain, until 1835. It is recognized by musicologists and folklorists as the absolute pinnacle, cataloging tens of thousands of distinct commercial and choral releases worldwide.
You have Judy Collins turning it into a global a cappella hit in 1970, and Aretha Franklin's legendary 1972 performance from the New Temple Missionary Baptist Church in Los Angeles, which is a cultural touchstone all on its own.
It is the ultimate standard. There's just nothing else quite like it.
You know, we've gone through 20 of the most incredible pieces of music ever created today. But as we wrap up this lightning-fast countdown, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. The ultimate irony of this list is that the absolute number one, most covered, most performed song in human history, Amazing Grace, wasn't even written as a song.
Right.
It was just a poem, waiting over 60 years for someone to find the exact right melody. It proves that the greatest songs aren't just written by one person in a room. They're built across generations, waiting for the rest of us to finish them. Thanks for joining us on this ride. It's been a blast having you here.